if I don't start building false ribs, which is just the beginning half of the... Hey, there's my my glue stick that I've been looking for. The one I started this whole project with. Anyways, if I don't get busy doing false ribs here, the short ribs that, you know, fill in between right there. If I don't get busy on them, I'm gonna be at a work stoppage, so I gotta get going. Somebody's really messed up my bench here. I don't know who did it. Must be the grandkids or something. Got the backing piece put on the scarf joints on the back of the false spars. Well, W10, W11, the leading edge spars. And then next I'll go ahead and cut off the excess on the ends. Whenever I do something like that, I'll use the oscillating saw. And when I do it, I'm not careful at all. I don't sit there and hang on to it and try to reduce vibration. If something's gonna come apart, I'd rather it came apart now than in the air. So if it's not that good a joint, I don't worry about trying to be delicate with this thing, any part of it. And of course now it's totally rigid. I'll take all of the squares out of the back of it, because that's where I'm going to be working next. But really I've got to start building false ribs. Well, I hate to bore you with more rib building, but you know, this isn't ribs, this is false ribs. That's different. So you take your rib cap material and just put it right in here. And if I got a square end on the bottom, I'll butt that right up against the bottom rib cap there. And then I'll eyeball down on this. I do every single one of these individually. Don't pre-cut much of this. And then I'll snip straight across it right here like this. And then I got this line on there. So I just tilted it at an angle and right down that line. And then if it's too short, I throw it away, of course, but usually I get it just slightly too long and I just need to drag it across a piece of sandpaper a couple of times, and that'll be good enough. And you don't want it loose in there. You do want it to kind of pressurize itself back into there. And then you need a fairly stiff clamp. These little clamps, they got a lot of pull to them. Little finger clamps from, I think I got them at Home Depot. And go ahead and put them over that. Whoop, want to glue the ends. Even though the end grain doesn't really have much holding power, it adds to it. So yeah, go ahead and put some in the slot, because we'll be putting a piece, little tiny chip right in there. And then down here we're going to have a cross beam coming into the corner. Cut that. I usually put it in the slot too, just because it's easier. Well, it's up like this. And this here is a place where there's tons of pressure trying to pull this thing apart. If you don't, I wet the top, the cambered side. I always wet, take it in the shower and just run it under the water for a few seconds. That's all I do. I mean, look how open everything is. It's only a 1/16 of an inch on each side and an 1/8 of an inch in the middle, so it doesn't take much to get a lot of moisture. And then when you're pushing this down in, make sure you push the cellophane down. Don't allow the cellophane to get between the wood. And I think one's going to be good. One clamp's going to be good enough there. And then I'll do the same thing with these. I'm doing these one at a time like this just because, well, maybe I will go ahead and cut a bunch of them, because I do have a bunch to make.